So, this is the definitions of working relationships. This is not a contract, as it says at the bottom. This tells us the ways in which we're able to work together, whether you're selling a house or buying a house. So, in this case, you're purchasing a house. So, we will work together as a buyer's agent, a transaction broker, or customer. As a buyer's agent, we work with you on a limited attorney client privilege basis, advocating for you, the buyer, and working with your best interests in mind. In fact, anything that's in your best interest, even if it's not in mine, I'm required to do by law. And this is the way that we'll be working together. The other two ways that people work are transaction broker and customer again. As a transaction broker, you're mainly pushing papers. You're a party of the transaction, not a party to you. So I cannot advocate for you. I cannot give you suggestions, and I cannot ask you or answer opinion-based questions. So all I can do is fill out paperwork and make sure it looks good. It's still the same cost for you or the seller, but a lot of people choose to work this way because it removes the liability off of the realtor. And I choose to work as a buyer's agent so that I can work with the utmost good faith, loyalty, and fidelity, seeking a price and terms that fit you, the buyer, and disclosing any material risks or benefits known by me about the transaction. So some realtors, again, mostly at Remax and other companies local to Fort Collins, will choose this option, again, to release liability off of themselves. It does put clients at risk, in my opinion, so I don't work that way. In very few circumstances, we will. The other way is as a customer. I don't work this way either. There is really only one scenario that I would work this way. It's like checking out at a grocery store. You have very little liability or duties to perform. In this case, if I was representing you or a seller and the other party came in and wanted me to represent both sides, we cannot legally do that. So the only way we can do that is work with both parties as a transaction broker, or one party in an agency relationship and one as a customer. So again, we're not going to work that way. We will work as a buyer's agent, and signing at the bottom here just means that I explained it. So once it's signed, we'll go to this next contract. This is the exclusive right to buy a listing contract. This is, as it says at the top, a contract that hires me to work for you. And this contract can be used for a multitude of things, from leases to home purchases to farm purchases or a pizza shop. So we will go over things that will be relevant to you as a residential home buyer. Let me know if you have any questions along the way. Please just stop me and interrupt if you do. So first we'll start that we have buyer agency check, just as we went over in the last contract. We'll have today's date filled in at the top. And moving down, we are a multi-person firm. It is not first name, last name realtor. It is eXp Realty. We have over 40,000 realtors here. Then we have your name at the buyer. We have eXp Realty LLC as the brokerage firm. And we have my name here as the broker. Moving down, we'll skip the listing period here, as it is, sorry, the leasing period, and we'll go to the listing period. The listing period will start today and will end in 1 year's time, or 6 months for some buyers. Computation period of days deadline is the next section. This is saying that if one of the dates of the purchase contract were to fall on a weekend or holiday, that since the title company is closed, that will just move to the next business day. So we'll check will right here just to make sure our contract does not terminate due to a holiday. Section 4, brokerage relationship. This is the contract or document we just went through, saying the different ways in which we can work together. Section 4.3.1.2 says buyer agency only. I will check this box here. And if a scenario comes up where I will represent the seller in some capacity, that would happen with your permission in writing, and we would discuss details later. Section 5, brokerage duties. These are all of the things that I'm required by law to perform for you, and they boil down to the checklist of items on the next page. Feel free to go through these. We can go through them together, but they do boil down to section 6.1, 2, and 3 here. promoting the interests of you, the buyer, with the utmost good faith, loyalty, and fidelity, seeking a price and terms that are acceptable to you, the buyer, and counseling you, the buyer, to any material benefits or risks of the transaction that are actually known by me, the broker. Section 7, this is the only time we'll talk about compensation. In section 7.1.1, we have a success fee equal to 3%. That is the only fee that will be paid to me. It's paid by the seller at closing, and I cannot receive money outside of the closing. There are no other fees. All of this will be left blank. There are no hidden fees that you'll be paying. As a buyer, the seller does pay the commission. Any questions? All right. So section 7.3, this is the start of one of two sections that protect me. This is the rest of this contract does protect you, but these two protect me in a case of one of a few different scenarios. So we check this top box here. This is saying the listing brokerage firm or seller may pay, the buyer is obligated to pay. So that typically never happens, maybe in a for sale by owner situation, or if a home builder decides not to pay the realtor, but you will always know in advance if there is no commission being offered before you make an offer. So you'll never be put into a position where you're paying cash without knowing. Section 7.4, the holdover period. This is the second of the sections that protect me. This is saying that within 99 calendar days of me negotiating a contract for you on a specific property, if for some reason you decide to fire me and purchase that property using the contract terms that I've set forward and given to you upon termination in writing, that you would owe me a commission or a success fee for doing my job. Now, of course, we hope this doesn't happen, but in the case that it does, we just want to make sure that we're rewarded for the work that we've done. Is that fair? Excellent. So moving down, section 8, limitation of third-party compensation. This is saying that I cannot receive any commissions or dollars from any party without written consent. The only time that this can be done is in the next document we'll go through some of our affiliated business partners, which I do not use any of. So the only time I can get paid is through closing, not for recommending you a landscaper, a roofer, or lender. That's all out of the goodness of my heart. And I think they're a great vendor that's going to provide you a good service and at a great price. Section 9, this is saying that you are not currently signed in a formal agreement with another Colorado licensed realtor, and that you have not received a list of any submitted properties pursuant to any previous listing agreements. So that goes back to the section above, the holdover period. And just to confirm, you are not signed an agreement and you have not received a submitted property report, correct? Excellent. Section 10, rights of parties to cancel. There are one of 6 different reasons that you can cancel your relationship with me. They're abandonment of buyer, failure to fulfill all material obligations set forth in the page above, failure to fulfill all material uniform duties, or if the buyer agency box at the top of page 1 is checked, the failure to fulfill all material additional duties of buyer's agent. Finally, section 6, any rights of buyer that accrued prior to cancellation will survive such cancellation. I like to leave this open and tell my clients that if you do not want to work with me, you can terminate our agreement within 24 hours in writing. And I just ask that you let me know why, just in case it's something that was a misunderstanding and we can fix going forwards. But I love what I do and I don't want to force anyone to work with me that does not want to work with me. So feel free to cancel at any time. You're not going to be held to this contract. Of course, if we are doing our jobs, then we do want to keep working with you. Section 10.2, right of broker to cancel. There's only a few reasons that I would cancel a contract, and that would be for any form of discrimination. Or, for example, if I don't hear back for 2 or 3 weeks from you, and we have to have heard back in 2 days. If you're canceling your own contract, then I can't help you. Fair enough? Great. Section 11, cost of services or products obtained from outside service sources. I will not be getting services for you without your permission that you are obligated to pay for, plain and simple. Section 12, brokerage services regarding showing properties. Our schedule for showing properties will be based on a request to view, and it's best to get as much notice as possible. Of course, in a hot market, that's not always possible. So I ask that you give me as much notice as you can for the given property, and if I can't show it, I will have a team member show it. Our services are anything deemed necessary by me, anything based on what you've told me your goals are that I think are necessary to get you to the closing table and in your new home, we will do for you. Section 13, this is saying that I do have the ability to share your identity to third parties without prior written consent, such as a title company or a mortgage lender. Does that sound good? Great. Section 14, disclosure of settlement services costs. This is saying that roughly a week before the closing of your property, the title company will send a document for our review of everything that you're required to pay and the credits that you'll receive at closing, so you know exactly what you're spending. Section 15, we'll go over disclosure next on this, but I do want you to know wire fraud is on the rise. It looks very real, and it is real. So be afraid of it and make sure you're following directions regarding wire fraud. Do not give your wiring instructions to anyone other than the title closer you already will have spoken to. Section 16, removal of marketing material. We will not be using any marketing materials for your purchase here, but it is up to you to tell us if we do to remove them. Section 17, non-discrimination. This section says that we will not discriminate against any party for any reason. Again, that's the only reason that I will terminate an agreement for the most part, but please don't discriminate. We will be good people through the process. Section 18, recommendation of legal and tax counsel. I'm not an attorney and I'm not a CPA, but I do know them. So if you need representation in either of those categories, we can recommend you a great local vendor. Mediation is the free version of going to an attorney to figure out a problem. Most things can be resolved through mediation. We have not had to go there yet, and hopefully we'll continue that way. Section 20, if you need an attorney, you pay for it. If I do, I pay for it. The prevailing party or losing party will pay all reasonable costs and expenses at the end. Section 21, there are no additional provisions for this contract. Section 23, you will receive a copy of this entire agreement through email. And this is saying we can also contact you and deliver documents through fax, email, or we'll fill in text right here. Section 24, we will not modify any portion of this contract. If anything needs to be changed, we will use an amend extend with broker or an amend extend of the contract to change anything needed. Again, section 26, you will get a copy of this entire agreement sent to you, and we're required to keep it on file for at least 4 years so we can always be contacted if you need something. Section 28, lastly, is Megan's Law. We cannot tell you the presence of a sex offender in the neighborhood, but we can give you the resources to find it. That's similar to the school districts. We cannot tell you if a school or school district is ranked poorly or is the best, but we can give you a resource to go find that information yourself. Excellent. Well, that's the end of our contract here. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns before getting started and us helping you find your perfect home? Excellent. All you need to do is sign here. Boom. And now it's signed. Excellent. Well, I appreciate you putting your trust in us to help you find the perfect home at the right price in the least amount of time. We'll be sure to get working for you as soon as possible. The next few things I have for you here are just a couple of required disclosures from eXp Realty. The first one is the affiliated business arrangement disclosure. This here is saying that we have a couple of vendors that our company has a relationship with, and if used by you, the company and potentially myself would receive a small amount of compensation. I do not personally use any of these companies, considering Introland. First Cloud has never been presented, but we do have to disclose. Or Silverline Title and Escrow. I have no contact with them either, but we're required to disclose. The third one that is not on here is America's Preferred Home Warranty. There is a warranty company associated with eXp Realty. that if you decide to use, there's a roughly $50 fee or dollar amount that gets placed to the realtor and the company. That one is the better of the three services. They do have some good plans. Um, so that might be something we talk about later. So signing here is just lets you know and lets everyone know that I've read this to you and that you understand if we use any of these companies that eXp Realty or myself may get compensated. The next document is the wire fraud disclosure. So this document here again is saying that wire fraud is on the rise, it is real, and people are out to get your money. This is something you should be afraid about because it does happen, and it does happen frequently. They're getting good. They look real. The emails look like they're coming from the lender and they look like they're on legitimate documents. So just know that your title officer will call directly or they will send a portal link to the client. It will never be a document such as this in a PDF format where the buyer, you, is just going to go to the bank and send the information to. So signing here is saying that you know that this is a problem, that you need to be careful. And if you have any questions, please reach out directly to me or your title rep before sending any money.